All right. Going live in 5 seconds.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Good morning, and welcome to the October the 17th, 2023 edition of the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. Again, welcome to today's program, and we thank you for listening. We would like for you to be a participant in today's show, so let me give you the number that you can call, and it is 516-453-9921. You do that, you get in contact with the show, and if you have a comment or a question, just press the number 1 button, and you will get in line. And when it is your turn, we will cue you in. If you are a new first-time caller, make sure you give the call screener your name so that I can properly give you an introduction. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, M-R-B-O-B-B-Y, the numeral 7, M-R-B-O-B-B-Y at gmail.com, and I will get it and let you know by a little symbol that I give out. And then at the appropriate time, when the call volume is low, your Gmail could be read. And, of course, lastly, you can join the chat room. And to do that, all you do is go to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on where it says program, the program menu, and then the program. You do that, then a list of shows will come up. You select the Produce Justice show. You click on that, and then the chat room becomes available in that little window when you are in the chat room. I would ask that you please do not ask me a question to ask Mr. Fuller from the chat, but occasionally I will see a subject in there that I may choose a question that I may ask Mr. Fuller from your question, and then we can go from there. But that's generally about how this works. All the books are in, and you can get those by going to producejustice.com. And all the latest information is there so that you can get there. And we highly encourage you to make sure you get the book. Even if you get a book for others, Mr. Fuller will talk about that book later on in the program. And don't forget, by the way, when you do call in to the show, make sure you give your name to the call screener, as Cleo has done, Corey has done, and this person in the 437 prefix. You haven't done that yet, but make sure you do. Okay, I think that is it. Okay, well, let's kick it off. So let me start off by saying good morning, Mr. Fuller, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay, it's been a minute since we have spoken, so let's do this. We have a little segment that we call Thoughts and Expressions on the Mind of Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, a lot has been going on, but what is on your mind that you would like to share with us this day?
What's going on? And why? And the bottom line, what's going on basically that is of constructive value, what is constructive and what is non-constructive. And so I'm focused on a couple of words that's coming up recently: mental health. So I'm thinking, just starting yesterday, I mean, when I focused on that, those two words, the code says when somebody mentions something, first thing you do is try to get focused on what they're talking about. So the first thing I wanted to know, what is mental health? Because all progress in every situation comes from having focus, presumably, on why people are here. What are we here for? Everybody on the planet wakes up and goes to bed thinking about what they're here for, either directly or indirectly. And what are we, meaning we who? All people, all creatures, all things. We're here, apparently, logically, to solve problems. So this morning, just going on the air, I looked at television, flipping channels, just about 3 channels. So what's going on? Thinking about what we're here for. I'm hearing somebody who's talking very seriously about what's going on in Israel and with Hamas, and describing the carnage and describing what is planned, the carnage that's being planned by the people who are involved right now in a whole bunch of killing. And there's going to be more of it, and more of it is being planned. So I listened to that for a while, just a couple of minutes, switched to another channel, thinking about mental health now. All the people being killed, babies in hospitals, in morgues, being spread out in the middle of the street in body bags over in a place called the Gaza Strip. And they said thousands of them are being killed as we speak right now. Flip to another channel, and there's a black lady and a black male this morning on the program talking about all of the glories and the benefits, presumably, of being transgender. And that's the focus. Gaza Strip, bodies piling up, people planning on piling up more bodies. That's their focus. Transgender people saying people need to study more, drop what they're doing, make it a priority of what being transgender is and all the glories that come with it, presumably. And then I turned off the television, getting ready to go on the air,
in the distance, about a half a block from where I am, I heard somebody screaming to the top of their voice, MF this and MF that. And I'm thinking about, well, now, what's the constructive result of this, whatever it is, or somebody making some type of protest about somebody doing something they're dissatisfied with. I'm presuming that's what it's about. And then I focus back on the two words, mental health. So in just following the code, I said, okay, I'm back to mental health after looking at what's going on right this minute. Everything from the gods of strip to the glories of being transgender to someone sending a message to someone using the term MF over and over again. And then I'm thinking about mental health. So I'm asking, what is it? So the code says mental health is just one thing. Constructive problem solving. And then I'm thinking about the three things that I just mentioned. Two of them on television and one a half a block down the street from someone who was sending a warning message to the entire world because he was talking loud enough for people to hear him a block away, calling something or somebody or some situation MF over and over again on a morning here on the planet Earth. So mental health is constructive problem solving. That's the tentative conclusion I've come to based on the code. So that's what I'm thinking about. What is it? Constructive problem solving. Mm-hmm. So you look at all three of those things and say, is there a problem here that needs solving? And I came to the conclusion, yes, there's always, everything is a problem. If it's not a problem, it's either a problem or it's not a problem. And it seems like everything is a problem that people are trying to straighten out what the problem is. We don't have enough genders, or somebody has made somebody angry enough to shout out to the world as best they can in the morning that I'm mad about something. And on television, going back to that, I'm going to kill somebody. Why? Somebody's going to kill me or I'm going to kill them because one of us got to go. We can't be here no longer. Somebody's got to go. And there's going to be a lot of somebodies, and I'm going to be a part of it. God's a strip. What is mental health? This thing's just on my mind. Mm-hmm. Mental health is constructive problem solving. Because we're talking about somebody trying to let us know we got problems. And I'm, in my own way, I'm going to solve them. We ain't got enough genders. That's a problem. Somebody's made me mad this morning, and I ain't going to just talk to them. I'm going to talk to the entire world about it. Because I'm mad. MF. That's what I kept hearing. And the other is, I'm in the Gaza Strip. I'm reporting on what's going on in this place. Is this any place you'd want to be, Well, I don't know about others, but I am in this place, and it's rough. Babies being carried out by their screaming mothers and put in the street in a body bag. Because they're not going to grow up to be anything because they just left last night in a barrage of artillery fire or rockets. And there's going to be more of it today. That's what's on Fuller's mind, mental health.
Okay. Mental health. Okay. 516-453-9921 is the number to get in contact with the show. Before I take the phone calls, Mr. Fuller, you had, you were in the military. I was going to say extensive military service from the United States Air Force and the United States Army, I do believe, and you've spoken to that many times. You have been around and you've seen history and lived through a lot of stuff. But the question that came to my mind is you were here or born before the so-called Middle East. Now, I don't know how old you were when that was created, but can you speak to that, to what happened as far as you know?
Well, I've never understood it right to this very minute. I started hearing the term Middle East and following the code many years ago. When you hear a term, you ask, what is that? And here it is, 2023, and I started thinking about it in the 1950s. So I remember talking to a tailor that had a shop in the place where I was born, and I asked him about it, and because I was very, very young, young enough, and I said, Mr. Grimes, that was his name, a person who read a lot, thought about a lot. I used to talk to him a lot as a younger person. He was an older person, gentleman who was a tailor. I've noticed that people who do tailoring work and all like that are the kind of thoughtful people because their job calls for them to be thoughtful. You're a tailor or an engineer or someone like that. You use your mind. So I said, what's all this mess about the Middle East? So he started talking about the something called the Dardanelles. Yes, that's an area, a geographical area. And Egypt and a place called, a newly formed place, 1940s, Israel, and Palestine, all that was mentioned. And sometimes Ethiopia. I said, Ethiopia? That's Africa, isn't it? Say, well, yes and no. And it's all kind of vague. So those are the kind of answers I was getting. What's it all about? And all of the answers I get right here in 2023 are vague about the Middle East. Why is there always a whole bunch of stuff, conflict, about the Middle East? And the lines keep changing about what is the Middle East. What do you keep talking about? Every now and then there's a place called Yemen. Is that a part of the Middle East? Well, yes and no. Well, is Turkey a part of the Middle East? Well, yeah, it's a part of it. I mean, Well, there's something called NATO, and how does that figure in and whatnot? Well, NATO is a part of the Middle East, but that's not a country or nothing. That's an organization. So in answer to your question, I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know this about the system of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens in the Middle East will be determined by the white supremacists. Why?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of dark people involved.
Yes. Okay.
Now, I saw that on television. I keep seeing that. A lot of people have skins that are dark.
Mm-hmm.
So no wonder it's a lot of mess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, you might, okay.
Now, the reason why
that's my answer. Going way back, even today, going back and forth. I'm all questions when it comes to the Middle East. I don't take stands on the Middle East because I don't have an idea.
Okay.
After all these years, and after trying to read everything I can get.
Okay. Well, let me help you out.
What that is all about.
Okay. Well, let me help you out on that. And one of the people that is in the chat room is right on it. But there's a document called the Balfour Declaration, B-A-L-F-O-U-R, Balfour Declaration. And if you read it, it'll give you an understanding on the so-called created Middle East. Because I did ask the question, what was it called before it was the Middle East? And the reason why I asked you, because you were born in that time, so I thought you would have some more information on it. But the Balfour Declaration it describes in detail what happened and how the European Jews were placed in a place that they called the Middle East. It was Palestine, and what they did to the people that were already there and so forth, and then what happened. It's called the Balfour Declaration, and I would suggest if you really want to, if not you, Mr. Fuller, but if people really want to know about what happened and who was responsible for that, Great Britain and the United States in particular were part of it, and why all that happened, it would maybe bring some light on the conflict that is going on right now. But anyway, I thought I would ask you about that. And people in the chat room, check that out, the Balfour Declaration, if you want to know. Now, if you don't care, then okay. But anyway, we'll go on from there. The number again is 516-453-9921, and we will go to the phone lines, and we're going to go down in Houston, where we have a problem there, and Cleo is going to be on. Cleo, get ready. Here we go. All right, Cleo, you are on.
Good morning, everyone. Long live NFJ and forever live Logic. Shout out to Mr. Bobby, Robert, Sharon, Moonpie, the entire CRCS crew for your ongoing work with Mr. NFJ in this very important life work. I appreciate you all very much. Have a quick VGQ and a quick question to follow. My VGQ this morning is to Mr. Fuller personally. I want to say to you, Mr. Fuller, happy Breath Day. I know you commemorated the 94th year of life on October 6th, and just want you to know how appreciative I am for you and your life and how you've used it. I want to say to you that every breath of every moment is a gift, and thank you for using it to solve problems and to produce justice. My question this morning, Mr. Fuller, is it incorrect to expect any being to be mentally healthy in a global power system construct that is insane? What say you, Mr. NFJ?
According to the code, mental health in a system of white supremacy does not and cannot exist. You have to get rid of the entire system of racism, or you don't have mental health. I don't care how hard you try. Why? Because the system of white supremacy itself is a system that destroys mental health. No one can be mentally healthy in the system of white supremacy. That's impossible, because the system of white supremacy itself manufactures ill health. It destroys a healthy mind. It's designed to do that among the non-white people of the entire planet. And since it's designed to do that, destroys the minds of white people just by having that as an objective. Why? Because it's designed to cause misery. Solve problems as far as things are concerned. It's designed to produce things very well. But mental health is not one of them. You have to have an unhealthy mind. It's a requirement. Ill health, mental health, is an absolute requirement of the system of white supremacy itself. You're not going to have not one mentally healthful person, a person who has mental health. Not one, anywhere on the planet, as long as you have the system of racism. That's why it's so important to get rid of the system of white supremacy first. That's the first order of business. Well, you're not going to straighten out anything when it comes to people. Now, as far as things being produced, new ideas, handling things, any kind of things, or any kind of travel, going to outer space and all like that, you have all of that in the system of white supremacy. It does that very well. Anything that has anything to do with things, a piano, a lamp, a rocket ship, a rifle, a motor car, an electric car, anything that has to do with things, the system of white supremacy is tops. Nothing compares with it in recorded history. It gets things done. You want something done, it gets things done, except a thing called justice. The system of white supremacy does not produce that and has no intention of ever doing it. The system of justice is off the charts. It's nowhere on the menu of the system of white supremacy, a thing called racism, in any form. But the system of white supremacy is the form we have. So that's just impossible to happen. You have to get rid of the system of racism, and then you have a possibility of replacing it with justice, meaning guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Okay. All right, Cleo. Thank you for your participation and all the shout-outs. Tell you what we're going to do right here. We're going to take a little break here, and then we'll resume the calls. You are listening to the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and we thank you for your listenership. Now, we would like you to be a participant You can do that by listening to the show or by asking a question. And here's the number that you call, 516-453-9921. Press the number 1 button, and then when it's your turn, we will acknowledge it and go on from there. And make sure you give the call screener your name. And if you are a first-time caller, do the same thing, but indicate to the call screener that you are a first-time caller. They will alert me, and then we can go on from there. Secondly, you can also Gmail me with your question. All you have to do is my Gmail address, the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby. That is the numeral 7 and MRBOBBY @gmail.com. And once you do that, I will get it, and generally I will acknowledge you with a symbol that I use. And then when it's your turn, your Gmail will be read, meaning that it may not be read that day, but it will be read at some point, particularly when the call volume is a little slow. Then we can read it and have Mr. Fuller address your question. And lastly, you can join the chat room, which some people have, and you can get in there. All you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com, and once you do that, then you want to click on programs, and the program you want is the Produce Justice Show. Produce Justice, you click that, and then once you get that, then the menu comes up for the window for chat, and then you can go into the chat room and get in there. And generally, there's some pretty good conversations in there. Right now, there are some that are studying the Balfour Declaration in regards to what's happening in the so-called Middle East, how the Jews were put in Palestine in 1948. And it's very interesting. You'll find out certain families, world families that were involved in that, and all that information to give you some clarity on what has happened and why it is happening. And if you listen to the first hour, first segment, Mr. Fuller addressed a little bit of that under mental health. Mental health. But make sure you do that, the Balfour Declaration. All righty. Let's see here. By the way, all the books are in, and you can get the books by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. And Mr. Fuller was on the Carl Nelson show. That is on the website, and I did listen to that. So good job, Mr. Fuller. You can check that out too at producejustice.com. That's up. Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay. Let's go back to the phone lines, and we're going to go to Milwaukee and Corey. Corey, let me see if I can get this over there. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. Okay, Corey, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Good morning.
Greetings, Mr. Bobby. Greetings, Mr. Fuller. Could I remain on the line, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, you're speaking about mental health, and I wanted to know if you wouldn't mind, could you address the 10 stops and how, if we as victims in the system of white supremacy racism implement the 10 stops, this possibly seems like a road to mental health, a pathway to having better mental health. Could you speak about the 10 stops, Mr. Fuller?
The 10 stops are on they start on page 254 of the basic textbook, the 2016 edition, revised edition, the updated edition of the Counter-Racist Code. It's on page 254. They're listed. If people have the book. I have it in front of me now, but it's a matter of turning through the pages. And the original book, it's on page 459. It lists 10 things that non-white people, black, brown, red, yellow, people of color, should stop doing as basic. It's called the basic 10 stops. We should stop doing a whole bunch of things and start doing a whole bunch of things. And those things are throughout the entire textbook for victims of white supremacy. But as a start, you can start with the 10 stops, which are listed on page 254 of the 2016 edition, and on the original edition, the 1984 edition, they are listed on page 49. I have both books in front of me, and did you want me to read them off?
Let me see. Wait a minute.
That kind of time, because we can only spend so much time. I have to refer to the book on some specific things.
Yeah, it's not necessary to list all the 10 stops, Mr. Fuller. My question is, in your opinion, do you feel that putting the 10 stops into our daily life as a code can help us and lead us to better mental health?
Yes. That's the theory. And if people try it, I think it will work for them. Now, the first one, in 1984 is when this was first written. It says, stop snitching. Now, a lot of people who are in the penitentiaries and whatnot, who are locked up, they took that and ran with it. And they misinterpreted what that meant. But so I'm going to read that one so we'll get that straight right away. Well, some parts of it. And it means saying things that help the white supremacists become stronger. That's all it is. I'm giving it a different definition. Saying things that might make the white supremacists stronger is not for people who consider themselves gangsters to not talk about or so-called snitch on other people who are doing harm to other people. That's not what it's for. It's within the context of the system of racism. You don't inform the white supremacists in such a way that they are inspired or given information that will make the system of white supremacy stronger, and you avoid doing this if you can. Now, we are in a prison system. The system of white supremacy is what I'm talking about. Not something about a robbery where some black person killed another black person and robbed them, and you saw it happen, and you're not going to tell nobody because you say that this is how we go, this is how we live. I mean, this is a great way to go with it, and we want to keep it going. And so, therefore, we don't want nobody to say nothing about black people killing each other. No, that's not what that's about. It's something different altogether, because the code is supposed to be different if we're going to get the world to be the type of place it ought to be. So I want to get that one, since that's number one. I want to say it's all explained in further detail in the 2016 edition, because a lot of people, I use an unfortunate word, really, in using the traditional word of snitching, because some people took that to mean what it currently means. But the compensatory code changes the definitions of words. to fit the situation the way we see it, to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. That's what everything that's written in the textbook, in the code book, the counter-racist code, is supposed to help do.
All righty. All right, Corey. Let's see. Excuse me. Okay. Was that? Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. There we go. Was that it, Corey? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank
you
very much, Mr. Fuller.
All right. Thank you, Corey. We'll keep you on here. Okay. All righty. Technology. All righty. Let's do the Gmail here. See. Mr. Fuller, I have one for you. It says from this lady. She says, Mr. Fuller, do you consider destructive behaviors, for example, killing people or animals, poisoning themselves and others, and destroying the environment, to be smart or intelligent things to do?
No, everything is divided into constructive and non-constructive. So you always ask the question. If you're sitting down eating a plate of food, you say, this that I'm putting in my body right now, is it going to help to build my body up? In other words, make my body healthier. Make my body healthier. And indirectly my mind. Or is it going to tear it down? Build my body up or tear it down? And somebody will say, I don't know. Okay. Well, when somebody says, I don't know about anything, that's a signal, according to compensatory logic, to do what? Is there any way to find out? That's the next question. When you don't know something, do I need to know? And is there any way to find out? You got all questions should be answered. That's why solving problems is all about what? Questions and answers. That's the formula. How many questions? How many answers? As many as it takes to solve the problem. That's the key. That's the counter-racist code, or any other kind of code that is worthy. In the universe, that's why I say people come and go and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But as long as the universe is here, everything in problem solving is about questions and answers. Somebody should have taught me that in the first grade. Everything, school itself, the first grade itself, is about questions and answers. How many questions? How many answers? As many as it takes to solve all the problems that ever will exist. That's the answer.
That's the answer. Okay. She goes on to ask this. She says, aren't racist people destructive? Now, according to this, are there any persons in the system of white supremacy smart or intelligent?
Yes. The smartest people in the universe, according to the evidence in 2023, are those white people who practice white supremacy. You can't be a supreme in anything unless you're smarter than everybody else, like it or not. But smart doesn't mean good. People get the two confused. And in the system of white supremacy, nobody is good. We don't know what good is. Nobody in the system of white supremacy, since it was established, the system of white supremacy itself has been a good person. According to what? Neely Fuller? No, according to logic. You can't have goodness, whatever that is, in the system of white supremacy in the same universe at the same time. That's impossible. We're not only good people on this planet. No one. Zero. We don't even know what it is, because there's no way to find out in the system of white supremacy. They don't allow it. We'll sit and eat some food, and we'll say it tastes good. We're fixing to gouge a whole lot of it in just a few days under the banner of what? Something called what? Halloween. Do we ever think about that? People counting their pennies now, trying to get it together, to get some costumes and go around collecting what is called what? Food. But when you look at it, with all those colors, black and orange, look at what you are going to put into your body. Gouge on it. Go into a grocery store, well stocked, and you see all kinds of stuff that little children are going to put into their bodies on a day that's set aside to fool people. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween. Goblins. Scaring people. Terrifying people. Trick or treat. That's the system of white supremacy. You're going to get tricked anyway, even if you're being treated. If you're being treated, you're going to gouge and you're going to rot out your teeth, like mine started rotting real early in my existence, on all this Halloween food. It's supposed to be nourishing. Something's going to build you up. No, but I'm going to put on a mask and I'm going to fool you into eating what I'm going to get from you or give you. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm going to have people who are witches on broomsticks all being a part of it. People who scare you. Black and orange. Black is supposed to be scary. Goblins creeping in the night. Look out for the bats. They're going to devour you. These are flying rats. They're going to claw you while you're eating all of this poison stacked up on the shelves. Just something to think about. Codification is about thinking.
That's it. All righty. Thank you, Corey. We will keep you there. All righty. Let's go to the phone lines. Here's the number again. 516-453-9921 is the number. And let's go to Victor. Victor in Canada. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Get this over here. Oh, wait a minute, Victor. Wait a minute. There we go. Victor from Canada. You're on.
Oh, hi, Mr. Buzz, Mr. Fuller. I have two questions. I was just wondering, how did you constructively solve the problem when you were writing your book with Dr. Carl Hutchinson? How did he help?
Oh, he just took an interest in what I was writing. And I said, well, a lot of this stuff I'm writing, I'm throwing it away because, it's not getting to the point, or, I had different reasons. He said, no. He said, hey, I'm typing up all this. And so that's how he got involved. He said, there's something going on here in your mind that you're not even aware of. And that's how he got involved. I mean, I met him through Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. They were students in different places, different times, I think Chicago, and they knew each other. And I'm here in Washington. They were both here in Washington, associated with Howard University. And so she introduced me to him, and he asked me what was I doing, what was I writing. And so when he heard me talk, he said, I think you own something that's different from what I'm hearing, in any place I've been. And I said, well, I'm trying to make it different because I'm not getting answers to my questions. Mm-hmm. And I need a whole lot of answers. I said, a lot of people are making pretty speeches. I said, the speeches are wonderful, and I'm inspired by them. They serve a purpose. I'm not discounting them. I said, but I want to know what to do on an everyday level for the individual who can't find nobody to talk to. And so what do you do when you don't have anybody to talk to and tell you things and answer questions immediately? So I said, well, since nobody's working on anything about questions, what do you do? I'm going to try to work on it. Because I'm not hearing nothing about what you do. I'm hearing a whole lot about how messed up everything is. And I'm seeing people marching in the streets and all like that. But on a day-to-day level, I mean, people, individuals, I mean, you're on your job every day. So what do you say to a person when they do this? Or what do you do about a situation when this comes up and that comes up? I want details. Word for word about what to say when I'm talking to the boss and I'm fixing to get fired. What do I say? What do I do? I want answers to those questions right now, this minute, not next week. And nobody seemed to be writing anything like that in the 1940s and 50s and 60s. Everybody's just talking about how mad they are. And somebody ought to do something. Well, I say, I want a book about the doing part. Nobody ever gets to the doing part. They say, well, they sing songs, and that's fine. It's very inspirational. We shall overcome. Well, overcome by doing what? I mean, that's opening the door. But what do you do after you get in there? You're going to do something. Otherwise, what's the reason you're coming through the door? What are you here for? No details. That's what I found. And in answer to the question, Dr. Hutchinson picked that up immediately because that was a vacuum. That's why I call it the compensatory code, making up for what's missing. And so Dr. Hutchinson got involved. He said, Fuller, you don't type, or you don't type very well. He said, I can make a typewriter hum. So in between operations, he was a doctor. He typed up everything that I had written, including all the stuff I was going to be throwing away. He said, no, keep it. You never know where an idea is there.
Correct.
I'll look through it.
Okay. Which quickly, Victor, because we're up against the time. What's your second question?
I just wanted to know, Mr. Fuller, when your dad, you said that your dad's grave was interned, and then there was words that were on his grave that talked about the 9 areas, like in industry and education. Is that where you got all of these ideas to create your book? Is from the ideas that your dad had?
Yes, four of them. I've forgotten because I never went back to the grave site again, like people usually don't. Or I'll say a great number of people. Well, I'm one of them. I don't visit grave sites, not because I make it a point. It's just that it's just something I never got in the habit of doing. But I remember on the day he was buried, he had written down something, and it said the 4 lessons of life, or something like that. And, my father was not very literate, but he said 4 principles, that's what it was. And industry was one of them, education and religion. I forgot what the 4th one was.
Mm-hmm.
But I turned that into 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And that went into the code. And so when I started writing about it, after a while, I used that as the basic format so I could focus on whatever I'm going to be talking about would be within the category of one of those areas of activity or a combination of all of them, because everything is interrelated. Everything in religion is interrelated with politics. People say, no, religion's supposed to be separate from politics. I said, well, what is religion and what is politics? See, so you get clarity when you put things in perspective or label things not according to tradition, but label them according to truth. Does education affect religion? Does religion affect sex? Does sex affect war? So that's how I did that, the 9 areas of activity. But I just borrowed 2 of them, religion and politics, off of the gravestone of my father. For industry, I took what I thought was a better word, economics. Economics is the use of time and energy. So that would take in industry and a whole lot of other things. The use of time and energy. That's the compensatory definition. That's not the dictionary definition as we're used to. I changed definitions of popular words. You have to do that in compensatory logic.
All righty. All right. Well, thank you, Victor, from Canada, for your call. Well, Mr. Fuller, we've come to the end of the first hour. So in the remaining minute, I know you spoke earlier or started off by mental health. So in the remaining minute that we have, I'm going to give you the last word for the first hour.
Mental health means solving problems. And you solve problems by asking questions about everything and getting answers. And never move to the second question until the first question has been answered. That's a compensatory code. That's mental health.
Okay.
Asking questions and getting the correct answers.
Okay. Well, that concludes the first hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller. So we thank you for listening. So if you have to go, have a great, productive week and stay on code. But for those who are going to stick and stay for the second hour, you do just that, because we have one more hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, which will commence in 10 seconds. All righty, welcome back to the second hour of the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. Thank you for tuning in. And if you would like to be a participant in today's show, you know the numbers, but for those that are new, here it is, 516-453-9921. And as usual, if you have a comment, just press the number 1 button and give a call screener your name, and we can go from there. And then, you ask your question and so forth. Just wait your turn, and then when it does, you can do your thing. But please be brief so that Mr. Fuller can address whatever question or concerns that you have. Be brief on that. Okay, now you know that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me do this, too. Now, if you are a first-time caller, make sure you tell the call screener that you are a first-time caller, and then go through the usual procedure. Don't be scared. Just make sure you tell them that, and then they will alert me. You can also Gmail me at my Gmail address is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, at gmail.com. And I will take that, and when it is a little call volume is slow, then perhaps your Gmail will be read, but it will go in order. And lastly, you can join the chat room by going to blogtalkradio.com. And then when you get there, you want to click on where it says programs. And you get into the program, and then you want to click that, and then shows come up. And the show that you want is the Produce Justice Show. Click on that. And when you do that, the chat room is available for you to get into. So make sure you do all that. In the first hour, Mr. Fuller talked about mental health, which will continue here in the second hour. If you missed the first hour, make sure you go back and get the second hour. As he mentioned at the close of the first hour, somebody talked about the 10 stops, and that's in his book. And you can get the book by going to producejustice.com, producejustice.com. All 3 volumes are in there. Make sure you get them. Some people like the 1984 edition. They prefer that. Myself, I prefer the 2016 edition, but Mr. Fuller has indicated they're all relevant. They're all relevant, so make sure that you do that. Okay. I think that's it. So we'll continue with the phone calls, and let's go to Talif in Youngstown here in Ohio. We call that the Yo, and the brother is on, so let's get him. All right, my brother from the Yo, you in the house. If I can get, there you go. You're on. Good morning.
Top of the morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr.
Yes,
Fuller.
sir.
Hope everybody's well today. I want to try to make it brief. Mr. Fuller, I know you say that the white supremacists always want to keep confusion, but do you think in 2023 that our people are still that naive to believe that, well, I'm going to say this. If you ever notice, we have Asians, we have Arab Americans, we got everybody else on the planet, but they always focus on us. Our biggest gay people they put on TV. If you ever notice, when our athletes go through their contract disputes with their teams, it's always us, but they never show the Caucasians having theirs. They always want to show the most beautiful. We're all over YouTube. We're the most beautiful women. Do you think, why is it that we are not smart enough to realize that? Because they'll say, oh, well, they like me because they putting me out there. No, I think they're using us. Mr. Fuller, why are they still using us? It's almost like a crash dummy in a car. Are we their test tubes, or are we the people that they always put out for this buffoonery, and why don't we stop any of that? Mr. Fuller, I'd like your opinion on that. Mr. Bobby, have a good day, and thank you for taking my call.
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
Well, in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacist wants white supremacy. It comes down to wants. And the white supremacy, everybody wants something. The white supremacists want the system of white supremacy to last forever and keep, like the textbook says, refining it. They have reached that refinement stage. Refinement means we've polished it up. We've put the finishing coat of paint. We already built the car. Now we're going to put that finishing. That's the last thing we'll do is put that something to make it real attractive. I mean, something that everybody wants. Everybody's already addicted to it and all like that. Now keep it that way. That's refinement of anything. The system of white supremacy goes through 4 stages. It's in the textbook. And that is establishment, that's getting it started. Maintenance, that's keeping it going. Expanding it, like you do a business, because the system of white supremacy is a business. Mm-hmm. And that's taking in more people, and they have already done that. They have already expanded it everywhere on the planet called Earth. Now you refine it, and they have been in that refinement stage, and that's where they're trying to stay. But we are supposed to, according to counter-racist logic, trying to get rid of that system altogether since it was established, because it never should have been in the first place. We should have a system of justice, not a system of racism, which is a system that's based on doing what? Mistreating people because of the color of their skin and enjoying that mistreatment. That's what it's about. That's what the white supremacists want. It all comes down to wants. And so they discovered they could get what they want: fun, glory, and material comfort, not through all these other systems of government, like the ideal of democracy and Americanism and Africanism and Asianism or Christianity or Islam. No. We want white supremacy. That's the best way to run the planet. And that idea took off like a brush fire and spread all over the world, and that's what they want to keep it going. But it's got to go, because you can't straighten out anything between people in the system of white supremacy. It's designed to keep turmoil going, like what I decided the Middle East is for. Keep that pot boiling. It's a distraction. People have to drop it, just like right now. Drop everything and pay attention to what's something called the Middle East. That's what that's set up for. Everybody to just stop what they're doing. I mean, don't watch what I'm doing with my hidden hand. Just look at what's happening in the Middle East. Now, your mind, while you're driving to work and tired from driving to your 3 jobs you got, you need to be thinking about what's happening in something called the Middle East. So that's what that's for. That's the conclusion I came to. But you can check it out yourself, because nothing about it makes sense. And it's not made to make sense. That's the whole point. Well, we're having a land dispute. No, we're having a religious dispute. No, we're having a historical distortion dispute. No, how many people, who's supposed to be involved in this? What is this all about? How did this get started? See, people asking questions and getting answers, but the answers that they give, the questions that they give, lead to answers that keep going around in a circle of questions and answers. It's not designed to solve anything. Mm-hmm. It's designed to keep the questions and answers going forever. Mm-hmm. Whenever people start doing this and doing that, whenever the white supremacists got one hand doing one thing and you start asking, what are they doing now? They'll say, don't pay attention to me. Check out the Middle East. There's something else going on here. Or something that's happened before is happening again. But you better run over there and see about that. Don't worry about your job and all like that. I mean, you know, your job will be there maybe. Don't worry about paying your bills. You got to check out this Middle East thing. Because that pot is boiling again. And why? Why is it boiling again? Because the white supremacists have it boiling again. That's what it's for. It's a distraction. That's the conclusion that logic led me to.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you, Talif. In the yo. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Fuller. Excellent answer. A lot of people don't want to accept that, but distraction, absolutely.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to jump in and say this, though. Now, Neely Fuller has a terrible habit of not answering questions. And it's because the way my mind works, it's a defect. It's a flaw. And I tried to work on it, but I need help. I don't mind, you know, when you need help, what does the code say? You ask for it. That's how you get help. Going to the hospital, you need help. Otherwise, what's the point in going? So I need help in not answering people's questions. Focus on what question you're asking me. And when Neely Fuller talks, keep him from drifting away from the question, because he'll do that every time. I've gotten to the place I don't even listen to myself being played back, because I see all the flaws that I have. Stop thinking about Neely Fuller as being some type of leader or some type of God, because he ain't. I ain't nowhere near being nobody's leader. I ain't nowhere being qualified. I'm a searcher. Now, if you want to be on a searching mission, then join me, because that's all that I'm about. You're talking about not having answers. I'm a searcher for answers. I am not the answer person. Talk to your local preacher about knowing everything. I don't know nothing. That's why I keep asking, and I want people to keep asking. But when they ask, get answers. Know when you are not getting the answers to your questions. I got to say that, because that's a terrible defect on the part of Neely Fuller, and I got sense enough to know it. I hope I got it, and I hope I can hold on to it.
You're fine, Mr. Fuller. You're fine. All righty. Okay. All righty. Thank you. All right. Yeah, but anyway, I came to the same conclusion. The global conspiracy by the white supremacists. It's a distraction. But anyway, let's go here. J2K2, guess what, man? You are getting ready. You are getting ready to be on. Get ready. Here we go. All righty, James. Do your thing.
Am I here? Okay. Good morning, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Bobby.
Yes, sir.
I got a DG. First, I got a question and a quick BGQ. What is the difference between Mr. Fuller, racism and being prejudiced? I thought they were the same thing at one point. What's the difference?
Prejudice means to prejudge, and I don't understand that word at all. You judge. What do you mean? Pre means before. That's what that three-letter word means. Prepared means before. So, how can you prejudge, when you have already made a judgment? prejudge means prejudging. In other words, you judge before you judge. I don't understand that word. Never did. That's why I don't use it. How can you prejudge? You're judging. What do you mean by prejudging? You're judging before you're judging? And what does that look like when you're prejudging your judgment? I mean, I never understood the word, and I don't use it. And when other people use it, I ask them, just like you just did, what do you mean by prejudice? Just like you just did, stick with that. Whomever uses the word prejudice, because racism means that judgment has been made. That's a done deal. The person who's decided to be a racist has just decided to mistreat people of color by harming them because of color. Mistreating people based on color. That's racism. And the only form of racism, the dominant form, the one that counts, is the system of white supremacy. That's the supreme system of so-called racism. A racist is a white supremacist, and a white supremacist is a racist. Now they say, well, you got some black people who are racist. No, you don't have any black people who are racist at all on this planet. Racism is white supremacy. And white supremacy is racism. And prejudice, the white supremacists don't prejudge. They judge. There goes a black person. Kill him. Throw a rock at him. Call him a name. If you talk to him, confuse him. Keep him confused. Tell him he ought to be doing this and ought to be doing that. Maybe he needs a trans change. You think he'll go for that? He'll go for anything. We got him trained that way. Suppose you ask, why are you doing this? He ain't going to ask that. He's going to try to tell you everything to show how much he knows. Well, how did he get that way? We trained him that way. Hey, boy, you're so smart. You know everything. You don't need to learn nothing. And he leaves, and he feels good, because all he wants to do is feel good. So you give him a good feel-good lesson and send him off into the sunset. He's going to go off the cliff looking at the sun. But we got him trained, just like you train a dog.
All righty. All right, J2K2. Wait a minute, let me get. Was that it, sir?
Yeah, that was it. Answered my question thoroughly. I appreciate that, Mr. Fuller. And I have a VGQ. If it means anything, it means something to me. It's called 4 Rules. Number 1 is eating is essential. Number 2, temperance is critical. Number 3, fasting is imperative. And number 4, exercise is mandatory. Just some thoughts that came to my mind, as I can do, as being a victim, and very confused at that, since we're talking about mental health. But those 4 rules helped me, as well as the books that I purchased, and I've got a couple of Mrs. Frances Cress Welson's books as well.
Okay.
And so it's been a lot of help. That's my VGQ, and it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, J2K2. Stay online, too, because I see you. All right. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Okay. let's go to. I'm gonna make you a judge, Nicolette, because I like you. Nicolette, Maryland. What you got for us today, Nicolette? There you go. What you got for us today? Go ahead.
First of all, happy late birthday, Dr. Neely Fuller. Hey, Mr. Bobby.
Yes.
I'm just glad that I'm always on vibrations with the truth, because actually this week I was reading the King James Version, and somebody had called me about a poll about the Jerusalem, and I was just like, haven't that been going on forever, Jerusalem and the Palestinians? Like, that's always been a fight. And then the second thing is, I have recently got a hold of Dr. Wilsing's book, The ISIS Papers, and so I had just literally read the 10 things she was saying there about no snitching, selling drugs to one another. So again, I'm just always grateful to be on code with seeing counter resolutions or counter change in society. It's a hard process, and we've been fighting this fight for a long time. I just hope that in my lifetime, seeing that Mr. Neely Fuller is aging, and he's aging well, that maybe in my lifetime we'll actually see justice come to our people, to people of color, not just me, but just people of color. And then lastly, thank you for letting me say this, Mr. Bobby. My son, he's just so inspirational. He was just, letting me know, because I've been feeling defeated of fighting the system. And so my son was just very encouraging of telling me, your fight is not in vain, and that a lot of people appreciate that, and that it is shifting in the atmosphere. So I'm just always grateful to be on tune with Dr. Neely Fuller and the other great people from the Black United Front that always educated me on things. So I didn't really have a comment. I'm just glad that I'm on tune.
Okay. Nicolette, let me say this. Since you went there first, you said you were something about the King James Version or something like that. Listen,
yeah.
As you do your research, and I appreciate you being in the library last week, a lot of that what was written about, and I'm trying to speak in a codified way, they're not the same people that are on show today. I say that because I want you to discover the Balfour Declaration. Make sure you discover that, and then that'll straighten out that other stuff that you mentioned in the beginning of your disclosure here. It'll help you understand what's going on, about what's going on.
And say that word one more time.
It's called the Balfour Declaration. It'll help you bring some clarity as to what's going on right now.
Okay.
And it does affect our mental health, as Mr. Fuller started out today's 2-hour program with. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being a loyal listener. All righty. Let's go to, what is this, Miss Us? Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. MISSUS. Miss Us in California. By the way, the person in the 917 prefix, please give your name to the call screener. Okay, California, here we go. Miss Us, California, if I got it correctly. Okay, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead. Hello? Okay,
hello?
Person. Yeah, okay. Woo!
Oh,
you just barely made it. Okay, it says Miss Us in California. I don't know if that's correct. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, that's.
Okay, well, go ahead with your question for Mr. Fuller.
Okay, so good morning. So, Mr. Fuller, my question is, now, you believe, well, first let me preface my question by asking this. Do you believe that eliminating racism, white supremacy, and replacing it with justice is the assignment of black people on the planet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For years, I would ask myself the question. I think everybody asks that question of themselves. What am I here for? We usually put it in the form of a question like, what is life all about? I mean, people are coming and doing this and doing that, and everybody, like that song says, everybody's talking at you. I don't hear a word they're saying or something like that. I mean, confusion. See, every young person got a head full of confusion, and older people should have it too, because confusion serves a purpose. It lets you know nothing is the way it ought to be, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right? So that's the way the mind works. The mind is always letting you know, what's it all about, Alfie? That's a question.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Is it just for the moment we live? Well, that's another question. What's it all about, Alfie? That's one question. What is the compensatory rule? You don't move to the second question before the first question is answered.
Mm-hmm. So
always remember that. Don't move, don't dare move to the second question until the first question is answered to your satisfaction. All right? And you shouldn't be satisfied with the answer until that answer proves to be correct. No such thing as an incorrect answer to a question, except it's not an answer to the question. All right? So, you always want that.
So if you believe that that's black people's assignment on planet Earth, what do you believe white people's assignment is on planet Earth?
We all have the same assignment, to produce justice. Why? Because
really?
Yes, because we have injustice. I mean, the people who are on the planet now, we have inherited a planet where people are not, people have problems. I'll put it that way. That's the umbrella. You're born into a world that's full of problems. Why? Because whatever created the world created problems for us. That we discover that by trial and error. So why do we have all these problems? Because the Creator, for whatever reason, now you can talk directly to the Creator about that, because I do, you put in to solve problems. Well, why am I put in to solve problems? That's a question. Because I'm going to give you problems to solve. Duh. See, the Creator could have put us here with no problems at all. Now, some people, like you just mentioned the Bible, say, well, that's the way it was in the beginning. There were no problems. Just go over there and get an apple off the tree. But now there's going to be one over there. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you. That was the message in Genesis, I've been told. There's a tree over there that's got fruit on it, but you got plenty of trees around here that's loaded with fruit. Just leave that one alone. You say, well, why would the Creator do something like that? And what is the answer that I've gotten? And I'm satisfied with that answer. I don't know. Well, why is it you don't know, Fuller? Maybe I'm not supposed to know. So, well, didn't the Creator know that Adam was going to take a little walk over there, or Eve, and wander around there and get bored and say, I'm going to test that tree? So you're going to test your Creator? Your Creator? You're going to put your Creator to a test? Well, from the story that I heard, she did. And then went over there and shook Adam, woke him up, and say, now, I got something for you. They would. Meal time. And then that caused what? From what I kept hearing, and I've always heard from every person in the Christian religion, I don't know if they got it straight or not, but this is the way I understand it. That's how it all got started. This thing called problems are solved. So, all right, you just made a problem that you didn't have before. Now you're going to have tons of problems from now on. Adam and Eve, with your disobedient self, I put you to a test. Now you're going to have problem after problem after problem. I'm going to throw them at you so that you will learn a lesson. I'm preparing you for another one of these days situation, but I got to test you first to see if you're trustworthy. Now, that's the message that's been handed down, and that, to me, is a big lesson, because it seems like one way or another, that's true. Because we have problems. That's what we're on the air for right now. There's one problem right after another. That's like somebody handing you a bingo card or a crossword puzzle. Maybe that's how we got sort of, some of us, something tells us at an early age to work a jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle. Because in our minds, it goes back. Just one problem after another. So once we realize that, we're here to solve problems. Oh, now I get it. We've got problems because we're here, just like people keep throwing them pitches at you on a baseball field. They just keep on coming. Well, you just keep swinging. And the next thing you know, you're hitting home runs. And them same balls that went out of the park, they ain't coming back. So that's the way the problem solving goes. At a certain point, the problems will stop coming. Why? Because you are now a person who will go into the unknown until the unknown becomes the known. And you will have moved to a greater level where you can move into a greater realm. Oh, yeah, that sounds like some type of fairy tale. Well, now, the whole world is some type of fairy tale. You want to look at it like that. Like you having to solve problems. How about that tale? That's something nobody has to prove to you. You know when you've got problems.
Right.
You know when you're hungry.
I'm going to think about what you just explained, and I may call you back next weekend with another question. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. All righty. We are way over, so let's do this. You are listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and we so very much thank you for listening and for your participation. For those who are remaining online for the next 26 minutes, according to the clock here, and for those that may be just tuning into the program, this is the number that you call. Contact number is 516-453-9921. And if you have a brief comment, make sure you press the number 1 button. And I'm speaking directly to the person in the prefix 786. Make sure you give the call screener your name so I can get you up here. But you do that, and then wait until I get you in, and then we'll have Mr. Fuller address your questions. You can also Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, that's MRBOBBY, @gmail.com. And, of course, when I get that, I will send you a symbol, that I have it, and then at a point in time, your Gmail question will be read. And you can join the chat room. Good information in the chat room today. Get right in there. You can access it by going to blogtalkradio.com. Then when you do that, you want to make sure that you click on where it says programs. Click the programs, and then you want shows. The Produce Justice Show is what you want. And when you click that, the chat room little window is available, and you can get in there. Okay, now listen, all the books are available. So you go to producejustice.com. That is producejustice.com. Make sure you do that. All 3 volumes are in, including the 1984 edition, which I understand a lot of people really like. Is that right, Mr. Fuller? A lot of people like that book?
A lot of people said they like the format because it looks like it's typed, and they like that typing. I think that's because people, somebody told me that on your computer, your yes, it looks like the text, the format is like typing, like the old-fashioned typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
And people get used to seeing that. The printing in the 2016 edition doesn't look like traditional typewriters, old Corona types. Underwood, old-fashioned typing, and so it looks like that type of format.
All right.
And so they like that.
Okay.
And the original, the real original was a much bigger book, and the print was larger. Okay. And I noticed, well, particularly for people my age, I like a book with large print, which is something that's rare. And it's something I want people to notice, too, now that I'm thinking about it. Have you ever noticed when you look for the ingredients that's in food that you eat, look at the package where it's supposed to say ingredients. You can't read that stuff. Why? The print is too small. The ingredients of what you are eating on any package should be the largest print that they have on that package, more than the name of the product. That's the way it should be. So it looks like what? Somebody's trying to sneak something on you. Have we ever thought about that? You can't see it. You get a magnifying glass, and when it comes to cooking some foods, I have noticed that. I'm wondering if anybody else has noticed that. The instructions are in such small print, you simply don't know what to do. That should be jumping out at you. Even if, no matter what your eye condition is, you should be able to see clearly what the instructions are, first of all, of what you are preparing, what the ingredients are, because there's all kinds of stuff in there. A lot of it you're not going to understand. I know I don't. This and that and the other. They never taught me these words in school. Speak in plain language. And if you can, even have a space for what it does, how it builds your body up. This is good for arm strength, this particular food. This is good for leg strength. And put it in bold print so it jumps out at you. Just passing by the shelf. You can look over there and you spot it. Good for muscles. What's good for muscles? What's in these ingredients? That's what it's for. Not just list the ingredients with all kinds of fancy language that you can't describe what it does. What does it do? Like this Halloween candy. The good with the bad. Tell you what it does when it gets in your body. That candy is good for what? What does it do for your brain? Excellent brain food. This type of candy. Because we got these type of ingredients in it. It's not traditional candy. Say so. Not taste good. Well, yeah, they let you know that. Tastes great. But what does it actually do to your body that's compatible with the way your body works? Your body is on an assignment. And it sticks to that assignment. And anything that interferes with the assignment, your body will let you know. What's this stuff? I'm not supposed to be taking this stuff. It's not the trash department. But you're throwing trash down here. I'm going on strike. That's what your body does. And you get sick. See, the universe works the same. In everything, a grain of sand or a person's body. Now, where are you going, Fuller? You're wandering off again. Somebody alert me.
All righty. All right, Mr. Fuller, thank you very much. But anyway, go to producejustice.com, and you can get the books. All righty, let's go back to the phone lines. And, here's the statement that Mr. Fuller made, which is pretty good. It is, confusion serves a purpose. He said that in this second hour. Think about that. Confusion serves a purpose. All righty, let's go to Brooklyn and Toussaint. You are on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
Can I be heard well?
Come on, Toussaint.
Yes, sir. Can I be heard well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Quick questions. 1 second to pull it up. All right. Mr. Fuller, I had a conversation with a friend who told me that the way that you respond to racism is a choice. So I wanted to ask you, is the way that we as non-white people respond to racism a choice?
A choice?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, it is a choice. You either respond to it in a way that supports it, or you respond to it in a way that tends to eliminate it and hopefully replace it with something better. Because there's no point in moving something away if you don't have something to put in its place that's better than what you had before. And keep that in mind all of the time. Racism is an evil. It poisons everything. It makes a lot of things taste good, but a lot of things that taste good are not good for you. Racism is one of them. It's an illness, a sickness in the entire planet. It's a poison. Now, it's got a lot of bells and whistles that excite people. We love excitement. We don't like being bored. racism provides that. Lots of excitement. The white supremacists are experts at producing excitement. They produce enjoyment out of people killing people. The books that I enjoyed at an early stage of my existence were murder mysteries. I just couldn't get enough of Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler. Couldn't wait for him to write another book. Now they got names, and I won't name any because I don't read murder mysteries. But I understand that you got people who they're making tons of millions of dollars, bestsellers. And you have a lot of people with name recognition among people who read murder mysteries. They can tell you all the top sellers in writing big, glossy books, not about how to solve problems, but how to make problems and enjoy the problems that are made. Killing. They call them thrillers. They call them that back in the day when I used to read them. Thrillers. You get a big thrill out of this. This is, forget about a book about building something. That's on the back shelf in the back of the store. But you want to know how to kill somebody and get away with it? Go right to the window. Thousands of them right up there in the window. Pick plenty of them. And if you get tired of reading, or you can't read, or your eyesight is bad, turn on the television and just flip channels. You'll see somebody murdering somebody and freezes right there. All right. This book is about somebody killing somebody. Wait a minute. Did I get away from the question again?
He's gone. So I don't know if you did or not. But anyway, let's go down to Miami and Jay. Jay in Miami, you are on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Thank you for taking my call. First of all, I wanted to thank Mr. Fuller again for the work that you have done over the years. This is not going to last forever. So I find myself listening to you more than reading the books. Now, I did get 4 codes, one for each one of my children, one for me, and 4 guides. Last Christmas, that was my Christmas present. So, support Mr. Fuller there. But, I got a quick VGQ and a question. It seems to me that Mr. Fuller has said many beautiful things that I think as people, if we sort of do like half of what Mr. Fuller said for us to do, I think as black people would be in a better place. But I don't think many people are listening to these things. And the same way Malcolm X did it, same way Dr. Wes Carson did it, there are beautiful things that have been said. I mean, the path have been laid out for us, but we are not following it. And I think part of the reason is because we are caught up in the system. One other thing Mr. Fuller said the other day, that racism is a hustle, and I think that's really all it is. Now, I've traveled quite a bit, and I've seen everywhere I go, a lot of black folks are the ones that are doing the hard work outside. So what that means is that the white folks are sitting somewhere, they are thinking, because they don't have to be in the hot sun working, they don't have to do the hard labor, so they are thinking. So because of what Mr. Fuller said, that it's a hustle, Mr. Fuller, I'm going to ask you that question. If it's a hustle, especially you see what's going on in the Middle East, where land grabbing is going on, natural resources being taken from people. So how can me just following the code prevent these people from taking all the natural resources in the world that allow them to dominate the world as they are dominating the world now?
All right, thank you, Jay. Mr. Fuller?
Okay. In answer to the question, that's what the textbook is for. We need to think about one thing. We are here to solve problems. And the biggest problem on the planet is racism in a vehicle called the system of white supremacy. It needs to be replaced with something better. That something better is a system of justice. And what is justice? Guaranteeing, just wake up every morning thinking, I'm going to do everything I can to guarantee this day everything that I can do. I'm going to do everything that I can to guarantee that where I'm going today, that nobody is mistreated. That's number one. It's just two things. And number two, I'm going to do everything that I can do to guarantee that anybody around me who needs help the most is going to get the most constructive help from me. Now, the code says, in any situation, those two things, try to guarantee, just two, try to guarantee that nobody's mistreated when you're in the midst of people. I don't care who it is. In your own quiet way, try to think of something that will guarantee that nobody's mistreated. Not make the situation worse. So you got to do some thinking of what to say and what to do to guarantee that nobody is mistreated. And number two, you got to do everything that you can do to guarantee that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you do that? By having a code. And the code says, to solve all problems, you do what? Ask questions and get answers to the questions. This is how you do it in a way that doesn't make the situation worse. Now, you'll have limitations, but you do your part. Now, if everybody, every day, wherever they happen to be, just start with that formula. I mean, if we did that, just every day, minute by minute, wait a minute, say to ourselves, am I trying to guarantee that nobody's mistreated from where I am right now? Like right now, what is Fuller doing? I'm trying to guarantee by putting this message out there. I hope that it falls on ears, guaranteeing that nobody's mistreated. Try to put that on people's mind. And guarantee that the person that I'm looking at needs help if they need it. They may not need no help that you can provide, so that's something you can't do. But if you can, say, this is easy for me to do. I can give this person the help that they need. If everybody just did that, all the books that are ever written, I mean, all that, if they're worth anything at all, come together in just that act that you are doing right now on the job or driving a truck or whatever. Am I trying to help somebody to do something constructive that produces a constructive result? Because when a person needs help, that's the kind of help they need, something that's constructive.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not something that's going to make the situation worse.
All righty. Okay, thank you, Jay, in Miami. Thank you very much for listening here. Remember, Mr. Fuller said in this hour and take it to heart. Confusion serves a purpose. Let's go to Colorado. Justice Radio. I think it's going to be the last call of the day. You're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Thanks. Thanks for the compensatory code system concept, Mr. Fuller. As a participant, a participating victim in a criminogenic system, the use of false identity classification to race for everyone, making everyone a racist, practicing racism mentally and socially. Now, with the only scientific functioning form of racism being white supremacy, not all white people. Mr. Fuller, is it true that everyone identifying as member of a race is a racist, practicing racism, with the only scientific functioning form of racism being white supremacy? Not all white people. Is this true, Mr. Fuller?
If I understand the question, the white supremacists invented racism.
Yes.
No people are born into a race. That's something that's invented by the white supremacists for their convenience, and only their convenience. They invented that. I didn't know nothing about being. I never joined no race. I don't know any black person that ever did. They were told that. So it comes down to a question again. Who told them that? The usual suspects, the white supremacists. They invented the thing called racism, went around classifying people. It got 21 in the Northwestern Hemisphere, at least 21 categories last time I counted. Started off with 3, white, black, and mulatto. By what? By white people who believed in racism. Said it's 3 races, white, black, mulatto. That was in 1860. That's the first time I learned that the year that they say that they had those classifications. All down through the years, they've had different classifications. Right now, 21, one of them being some other race. What? How does that make sense? Some other race? What does some other race look like? I'm walking down the sidewalk and I'm looking for some other race. What would I be looking for? See, but the white supremacists said, we got these people so confused we can say anything. They ain't going to try to figure it out. They just eat up whatever we put out there. What's the latest fad? What's the latest thing to buy? Halloween is coming up. Eat candy. All of it you can stand. Candy running out of your ears.
Excuse me, Mr.
And
Fuller.
give it to your offspring.
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut it short because we're just about out of time. Just a few seconds here. Thank you for your call, Justice Radio in Colorado, Mr. Fuller, and everybody else. Thank you for your calls and your concerns, and remembering mental health has been the focus today. Mr. Fuller, in the remaining few seconds that we have, that time goes to you. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
Mental health is problem solving, and codification is about mental health because it's about problem solving. That's what we're here for, to solve problems. And the first problem, before you can solve any other problem, the biggest problem, is replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. That's on the road to what? Mental health. You ain't going to have it in the system of racism.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Forgive us for all the mistakes that we made. Again, we made a lot, but we'll try to get better. ProduceJustice.com. All the books are in. Everybody have a great week. All right. Bye.